All right. Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about finding you in your business. This is something that I personally have really struggled with in the past, and I have, just kind of since Summit really been working on it. And we wanted to share some of our tips because Autumn kind of started working on this. Autumn, would you say you started working on really being you in your business around January, or when would you say you started doing that?
I would say January, but I'd also still say like even now, like I feel like, yeah, I was working on trying to find myself in my business in January, but I also feel like we kind of unleashed a whole different thing coming from Summit that, and I was actually just walking upstairs today or coming upstairs and I was like thinking like, man, like I think being myself is the hardest thing I've ever done. Like it's so hard to just figure out how to be you and not get wrapped up in comparison, get wrapped up in like being like other people or whatever the case is. Like it's hard to find you and it's hard to be you unapologetically. So I would definitely say around Summit, I two incidents, and both are the trips, right? The Success Lab trip, I really realized the importance of myself and how, we're just like every other coach is just a person, right? They're not, not one person is better than another person. We're all just ourselves. And so it's so important and so crucial for us to be us individually. And that was a huge point when I said, you know what, I'm not going to worry about other people. I'm just going to worry about myself. And then, some time goes on. And I went through some struggles after the cruise, and that's totally okay. That happens. And then came Summit again, and that was a whole different push in a different direction, in a whole different way that I started looking at who I am and was like, yep, I need to, and that's you too, right? And we both were like, okay, we need to focus on ourselves and finding each other and finding who we are as people in our businesses. And I'd say definitely like around January, but a different growth period at the cruise and a whole different growth period from Summit, for sure.
Totally. So we wanted to kind of take what we've been talking about in our businesses and with our success partners and stuff and bring it to you guys so that way you can go through the same kind of mindset change in finding you just like we are right now. So I'm just going to flip here. Can you still see the next slide, Autumn?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, step one, what are your big scary dreams and goals? So this is kind of where you need to pull a pen and paper. So if you haven't already, press pause on us if you're watching the recording and go and get that because this is really important. We want you to do it with us. So what I've done is I've actually written out just some points, some things that I thought through when I was writing this out. So when you die, what are you going to be remembered for? I think that was the best, like Scotty Hobbs said this at Ignite. He told a story. He said that when a nurse was working in a wing where people would go to pass away, kind of, I don't even know what it's called, I'm not a doctor. And he, instead of asking like what was, what were the regrets in life or stuff like, or sorry, instead of asking like what the amazing moments in life were and stuff, she asked what they regretted. And a lot of them would say not being me or not living life for me. And that kind of struck a chord with me because when you live your life, often we can be pulled in different ways, whether it's from your family or your job, situations that come into your life. You can be pulled in different directions where you don't always get to be truly who you are. But it's really important that in every case, every scenario, when you get pulled off course, that you still take the time to come back to your goals and your dreams and who you are. So when your day comes and you're sitting there and you're looking that nurse in the eye, you can say, this was my life. I'm remembered for this. I lived for me. This was my legacy. And that just really kind of hit me because when I look at coaching, I've gone through the same things that you probably have gone through, comparison with other coaches. I'm trying to find your way in your network that you have initially right there in your life from day one to now, and those people that are coming in and how they're influencing it. And sometimes it can be hard to really set yourself aside and say, okay, this is who I am. I'm going to stay true to who I am. I'm not going to let these other people influence my goals, my dreams. You want to make sure that you're taking those influences and you're letting them move your dreams forward, not take your dreams on a different path. So that's really important. So you'll see, what do you want to call what do you want to call your legacy? So what is that like big thing that you're going to do in your life? What's going to be that one thing where, your family members or your friends can look back and say, that's what you did. What are your accomplishments you want to achieve? What are some of your personal, professional, relationship goals you have? How do you want to feel as a person about life, your job, your family, and yourself? And then write down anything else you have as a goal or dream. So if you're watching the recording, press pause and start writing these out. Autumn, do you want to share some of maybe yours that you can touch on those so they kind of have an idea of what yours are, and I can share mine too after?
Like my specific
Yeah, it's like
legacy things that I want to leave.
Yeah, like anything. Any example maybe even.
Yeah, so some of these, and I've kind of shared it with the team, but these are some kind of things that me and Kelsey started pulling out, and I can kind of read them, but we've been talking about this a lot within with our success partners, so with our group, since we came back from Summit, and we've been talking about it just a lot to each other and working on it with ourselves. And I'm just going to even see if I can find exactly where it was. Okay, so this was literally the sheet that I was writing my notes on that me and Kelsey were doing in the airport. And she was asking me these questions that I had never really been asked before. And I'm like, damn, Kelsey, like, there you go again, asking me these questions. I'm like, that's awesome that we need that. So this was really hard. It was a hard thing for me to start peeling back those layers because I had never thought of it in that way. The only goals that we had set and really only taught you guys to set were very surface level goals. It was, make this income, each week, hit emerald, hit diamond, become, a top coach or whatever the case was, right? They were all just very, they were great. They're great goals, but they're not the goals that I needed to really move my. I love that you have a cat in there now. It's like you're totally me. We flipped roles this time. But so some of the goals that I had set for myself that I had kind of deep rooted within me, but I didn't really know that I had. Are, when she said, okay, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? What is it that you want people to be like to know you for? When you are walking across the stage at Summit and you're getting recognized for being an elite coach or a top 10 coach, what are the things that your team is loyal to you for? Why do you have a following? Like, what is it about you that sets yourself apart from other people? And this is a big question. So some of the things that I said for in my, things I wanted to be remembered for were being a kind and a real person. Like, I want people to know that who they get on social media is who they get in person. I never ever want to have or hold myself to the standard of being better than somebody else. I always want to hold myself as a humble person that is at the same level as everybody, because I want people to know, whether it's my team or it's other people that pass me or that I come into contact with, to know that they can achieve what they want and there's nothing stopping them, that I'm the same as them. So I really want that to be something big that comes across in my posts, who I am as a person, and the way that people come into contact with me. Things that I also want to, in my goals and certain legacies and things that I wanted, my bigger vision for my life outside of Beachbody. Because what I was missing for so long was that yes, Beachbody is my life. Okay, let's be real here. I spend a lot of time working with Beachbody. I wake up thinking about Beachbody and coaching. I teach live classes in Beachbody format, so it's kind of revolves around my life. But at the same time, I have a lot of goals that are outside of Beachbody that I want to use Beachbody as the vehicle for and allow me to do those things in my life rather than it become my life. And that is ultimately, and that might not be right now, because right now I'm in grind mode. I don't have kids. I'm in a position right now where I can work a lot, and I want to build that life for myself and for our future family now. So we are working a lot, but in a couple years, having a lot more freedom and a lot more extra time where I'm only maybe teaching classes, a few times a week, where I have designated, very designated work hours. So I have a lot more time and freedom to maybe have a lake house or be able to, be with my family a little bit more. Those are definitely my long-term goals. I also have goals of, wanting to have me and Kelsey both share this one, but having a podcast where we can influence tons more people, because we want to be able to help people outside of just the Beachbody community, but people in every kind of way, because of the personal development that we do and self-growth that we've had. We want to share that with people. We want to serve others with that. And we want to be able to help them. For me personally, I want to help people find self-love and self-empowerment, and to know that they can have any kind of goal that they want, and that it's a mindset shift is what it all kind of comes down to. I also want to share the importance that starting young, and as in our generation, starting our kids young eating right, having a good mindset, treating people right. And it's all a combination of health and happiness. And I want to be able to empower, busy moms and women and kids of everybody of all ages, whether that is, bringing PIO into schools, into, high schools, if that's podcasts and whatever the case is, motivational speaking. There's a lot of things that I really want to do outside of Beachbody that Beachbody has allowed me to do and become a better person that I want to share with other people just outside of our coaching community. I would love to, I have those big goals of, us being a 15-star diamond team, being a top team, being a top 10 team, whatever the case is. I have those goals, being financially free, retiring my parents, all those big goals as well. But the things outside of that are influencing people in a bigger way. Being able to do mission trips and having the abundant ability within Beachbody from having the income to be able to go on mission trips, host, have my own nonprofit. Those are very, very expensive. And again, Kelsey will say the same thing. We don't know when. We don't know exactly the details. We don't know what it's going to be, but we have these bigger goals and these dreams, and those are the things we want to do because our whole purpose in being coaches is to serve others. So when it comes down to it, it's how can we serve others in other ways? Like, what can we do? And both of us do this because we want to have a bigger and better life for our families and to have more freedom and to have those things. So we have to, coaching is our way to do that. And this is a huge reason why I became a full-time coach, because if I would have went to university, and nothing's wrong with it, but for me, personally, if I was ever to go get a business degree and to work in either a corporate building or open up my own business like box store, I would not have that freedom. I would not be able to get enough time off in a year. I would not be able to just make my own schedule. I would either be at a business box store every single day, if not more than what I do for coaching. I would not have freedom. There's a lot of things that I would have not got aligned with the way that I want to live my life by finishing up my degree and to work a corporate job. So coaching was my way and my vehicle to live the life that I want to long term. So those are kind of some of those things. Something that I had said too is I think people find when I say, oh, you have the freedom, they're like, oh, well, I like to work. I love to work. I have a great work ethic. It's not that I don't want to work, but I want to work for myself. I want to build my own dreams. I don't want to have to answer to somebody else. And I'm sure Kelsey feels the same way, right? You want to know your hard work is being directly reflected into your life. You don't want your hard work to directly reflect someone else's life and their earning and their income. So those are a couple things. And then when she asked me, this is another question. I don't know if she has it on here, but it might come later. I don't know if you have the question of what is your strength, Kelsey.
No, I don't.
Okay, so I'm going to touch on it because this is what Kelsey asked me, and this actually was a really big deal because I was struggling. Like, what's my message? What are the posts I want to be sharing? What is it that I need to be sharing with other people? Because let's be real, we try to share everything instead of just focusing on what our strength is. And she goes, what is your strength? And I sat there, I'm like, girl, are you kidding me? I don't know. And she's like, how do you not know? And I said, I really don't know. Like, I don't know what my strength is. Like, I'm blanking. I feel like I should know this answer and I'm failing a test. I don't know. And she goes, okay, Autumn, get real. Like, what do you do well? What is it that you've always done no matter what? And I'm like, doing it anyway, I guess. She goes, yeah, like, that's it. She's like, you were always busy, whether it was in, university, working a job, being busy no matter what it is that you did, and you always found a way to make it work. Like, you didn't make excuses, you just got it done. Like, that's my message. I'm like, it makes so much sense. I need to be sharing that. Like, I don't need to be sharing everything. I need to be sharing what I'm good at, and that's what I need to focus on. And if I'm good at making this happen and finding a way to make work or your workouts happen, no matter how busy you are, that's what I need to be sharing with people and sharing that consistent dedication, because that's where my strength is. And I think we really struggle in this. We struggle with finding ourselves and our message because we feel like we have to share the same things every other coach shares, but you don't. You just have to find what you're good at and what your strength is and share that till you're blue in the face.
Totally. And I think too, Autumn, if you take those things that you just said, and if you go and look at another coach's or page, you're going to start to see these things. Like, you're going to see clearly what voice each coach is trying to share. What is their things that they're strong at? What are the things that they care about? And the reason they have become successful in a sense that people follow them is because they are consistent with sharing these things, right? They figured out what they are all about so that you can share those things. They aren't all over the place. And what I find with myself is when I was looking at it as a big picture, like, I want to be an ultimate coach, and I was trying to take all the things I liked from each coach, what I was doing was I wasn't being true to myself. And I also had a really mixed message. There wasn't something there for people to come in and follow and know that every single day that's what they were going to get and that it was going to build upon it. So I think that's really important. So those big, scary dreams and goals are really important because, you know, if you set a goal of writing a book or having your own podcast or having your own fitness studio or being a, you know, a superstar trainer or whatever it might be, if you don't know what those end goals are, that legacy that you want to leave behind, you won't know what you're really working towards. Like, what is your purpose of inviting people to join your team? What is your team about, right? Like, you need to know who you are in order to do those things and be genuine about it. And you know, figuring that out it takes a lot of work. I mean, I took a couple hours to write this kind of stuff out, and I had some of the girls on my team do it, and they took a couple hours just to do this part, like really thinking about it, like, what does that look like? So we're going to move on to the next slide. So it says, go ahead.
I'll touch on it quick because when you said this, it made a lot of sense, and you just kind of touched on it again, and you said, but if you're not sharing your vision and you're not sharing the grander legacy and what you want to be putting for your life, how is anybody going to get on the train that you're going on? Because at the end of the day, when people are joining you, they're joining you because you have a grander vision for your life. You have something more. When Carl Deichler came and he had this idea for Beachbody and for coaching and this business, he had people sit in a tiny office before it got big, and he shared his passion without really having anything put in place yet. But he shared his passion and he shared his vision and where he wanted to take everything and to take everybody else. And so people got on board because of that. They didn't get on board because, like, oh, being a coach, that's cool. They got on board because they've seen his vision and because they've seen where he was going to take everything, and that's where he wanted to take everybody else, right? He wanted everybody to get on board with his vision, not specific steps. I don't know if that makes sense, but by you sharing your grander vision for what you want in your life, people are going to be able to connect with you on a different level, and they're going to be able to get on your train and build that vision with you, because if they don't know what they're building, they're just another, like, it's just another person, right? They want to be a part of something more.
Totally.
Go on.
Okay, so step 2 is describe you. So you need to do the first step and then, you know, continue watching and then we'll do this one, okay? So describing you is really important because a lot of times I'll hear coaches say, like, I want to say it like this coach, or I want my pictures to look like this coach's. And I think it's really important to find you, because if you know how to describe you and who you are, then you're going to be able to put that through into your words, into your whatever you're using, blog, Instagram, Snapchat, your pictures. It's all going to kind of go through. So here's what you kind of need to do is you need to say, how would someone else describe you? How would you describe you? And then I want you to think, are those two things the same? What about how they see you is true? And what about how you see you is true? And what part of those things aren't true? Really take time to really figure that out, because I know for myself, a lot of that clashes. So then you need to think, what colors are you drawn to? What's your style? Think about your clothes, stuff in your house. Like, who are you? Really think that through, because those things will also help you to really perfect the way you share your pictures, how you post, all that kind of stuff. Like, are your pictures colorful? Are they going to be more sultry, or what are they going to be like? Because those things are also going to attract people like you. So it's really important to really be aware of those things. So when you're taking a picture, or you're posting something, that they're really consistent with each other, that it becomes kind of like a brand almost. And we've talked about branding before, but a brand happens naturally by being consistent with who you are. So you need to do this part. You need to think, well, what are your quirks? What is your vibe? Or what vibe do you want to give off or have people see from you? How is it going to be true to you? I have what are your quirks twice. Well, apparently that's important. And what do people not know about you, and what do you want to be? So just really describing yourself and thinking about that, I think that's really important, because I know for myself, when I would look at my Instagram pictures, I'm like, oh my goodness, my pictures are all over the place. Everything's so like random, and there's not a lot of consistency. Well, how are people going to be drawn into that if it's not some kind of where they know it's you, right? Like, we see Autumn's posts and we know they're Autumn's posts right away. We know that when she writes, or if we just see the part of her writing or Derek's writing, it's obviously them, right? Because they have been very consistent. They've been really trying to take them, way they see themselves and the way they want others to see them for their uniqueness, and they are really putting it into their words, and they're using it in their pictures, and they're using it in their colors, and they're putting in their vibe. And I think that's really important for people to understand who you are, because I think about, not even just coaches, but other people that I follow on social media. I follow them originally for some of these things, right? Like their pictures grab my attention because it's something that I would have posted or something that I like. And whenever I see their pictures, it really grabs my attention and has that certain vibe. And then they start showing their quirks and things I don't know about them, and you start to get to know them. It's like they kind of like break from little messages about themselves. So over time, you get to know them as a big, like in the big picture, and you feel like you're their best friend. And I think that's really important, because as you go through this, you're going to start to find yourself, and you're going to start to find just kind of your way through as a coach, as a person, as a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever it might be. You're going to find your way by doing these things. Autumn, do you have anything else to add to this before we go into step 3?
Yeah, I'll just quickly touch. I think that the very last one, like who do you want to be, is really, really important. I found that what was like your story is so important. Where you were, who you used to be, that is so key for your story. But at the same time, if you only focus on who you were or where you were, rather than where you're going and the person you want to be, you're never going to attract those same people. And I was really struggling with that. I'm like, why am I always attracting people who just they are not go-getters? Why am I struggling to find people who just don't have that drive within them? And I'm like, that's because I'm not focusing on those people. I'm not, I had to really make sure that I was putting forward the behaviors of the person that I wanted to be in the future, that I wanted to attract. So when I sat there and I said, what do I want on my team? I need consistent, dedicated people on my team. So what do I need to be? I need to be dedicated and consistent, and that needs to be what I am number one, so then I can inspire other people and I can connect with other people who are that same way, because that's the only way. Like, you have to, if you want to be successful, you have to look at other successful people that are like you and see, okay, what is it that makes them kind of successful? What is it that about them, attracts those same people? And so when it was me, I realized I had to be consistent, I had to be dedicated, and I had to start focusing on who I want to be in the future as well, not just on who I was before. And, they all play a huge part in finding that ideal person that you're going to work with.
Totally. All right. There we go. Step 3, what do you envision for your life, job, and relationship? So kind of starts to tie into all the things we've been talking about. So what kind of success do you want? Are you going to be the big wig, a low-key self-made success? Do you want to be quiet, or to quietly impact the world, or do it with flair and a big voice? So everyone's, idea of success is a little bit different when it comes to life, job, and relationships. How do you want to put that out there? How do you want to be the person that's, loud and, spunky on social media? Or are you the girl that's kind of the real talk, or the guy that, is serious? Like, what is your vibe in your success? What do you want that to look like? So that's really, really important too, because I think when you start envisioning what your future is going to be, you need to understand, like, what kind of success do you want? What do you want that to look like? And that starts tying in with your goals, your description of you, and just kind of starting to put them in together. So when you're thinking about how you are going to coach, what kind of coach are you going to be? What kind of message are you going to have on social media? It starts to kind of fall into those things. Okay, and what kind of impact do you want to have in the world? What do you want your life to look like in the future? What do you want to do with coaching? What impact or legacy do you want to have? So like Autumn was saying before, it's kind of your vehicle that can take you to that successful point, or that point where you can make a difference. And you need to understand yourself, like, where does coaching fall for you? Are you going to be a coach that's about fitness, and like coaching is your end goal, like to be able to be a coach where it's fitness related? Or is your goal to take that vehicle and to help people and help them to grow? And what is it going to look like, I guess? So you need to start thinking through that, right? Look at other coaches. You can clearly see when you start taking these kinds of questions and looking at their business, what kind of coach they are, right? There's some out there that are personal trainers, just, doing their thing. They're fitness related. They focus on fitness. They teach, they do all those things, right? And then there's other coaches that they do it through a different method. It's very artsy. It's very sharing of their life and their family. And there's just different approaches, right? It's not wrong or right. It's whatever is right for you. So I think it's really important to really think about, what does coaching look like in your business for you? Is it, fitness? Is it something else, right? So really focus on those things. And then what kind of relationships do you want for people, and what does your future life look like? Go ahead, Autumn.
And I just want to touch on that because this has been a huge thing that, and again, it's from the beginning, and it's just been something I've been really trying to join into people a little bit, is about it being that vehicle. Not everybody's end goal is being a full-time coach. That's it, just being home. That's not everybody's goal, and that's okay. Even mine, it kind of shifted from I still want to be a full-time coach. Yes, that's my vehicle, but I also want to teach classes. I want to be able to bring into the community. I want to, have podcasts. I want to do other things, but the only way that I'm going to be able to do all that and have the freedom and the ability to sustain my life and my bills and pay for doing all that stuff is by coaching, right? So you have to look within yourself and envision what you want your full life to look like outside of just a job. Do you want to have freedom? Do you want to travel? Do you want to make a bigger impact? Do you want to be able to up and leave and do nonprofits and do mission trips? How do you want to serve the world? How do you want to serve your life? And what do you envision for your entire family? Is it being able to pick up and go away on a vacation to Mexico for a month? What is it that you want to do? And how can Beachbody help you get there? Not just be your life, but how can it help you live the life you want? And I think that's so important because it's not something that I was always trying to get across to my team for the last 2 years. And this is what I want to get across because this is something that I felt like I was missing in my life. And I just need to make sure everybody else has that same thing because Beachbody isn't everybody's end goal, but it can help you have the end goal that you desire, if that makes sense.
Totally. Okay, we have 4 minutes left, so I'm going to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
All right, so step 4 is who is it that you are trying to impact? So think about all the things you've written down now, right? Think about who you are, think about your goals, think about your message, what you stand for, what you believe in, all those things. And how are those things a part of your message? How are those things going to drive your business forward? Start to think about that. What message, are you putting out there? When you start to know your message, you're going to start to know who you're impacting. Once you know who you're impacting, you're going to know who your market is. You're going to know what kind of people you're looking to help. What kind of people are you going to relate to? Okay, so those things, those questions, taking everything we just talked about and putting it together, will put it into your message. Okay, and then what is it that you want to impact people with? So think about, again, what is it that you're sharing? What is it that you're posting about? What is it that you're passionate about? How are those things going to help move your business forward, and how is it going to help to impact people? What is your purpose as a coach? Who is this person that you are trying to reach? So it's kind of like your avatar, but now that you're starting to know your message, who you're reaching out to, how you're impacting them, you're going to start to see a very clear image of your avatar. Who is that person? And are you currently posting to speak and answer those questions? So if you are not doing those things, if you're not being you, you're not sharing your message, you're not sharing your vision, then you're not currently doing that. You're not posting to help people understand those things. They're not seeing your vision. They're not seeing your path. They're not seeing what you're trying to put out there and what you believe in. Okay, so you need to really think that through. Are you doing those things or are you not? How can you take your personality, vision, and goals and use them to impact lives? So that's the big question. Okay, I'm just going to go to the next slide on, and then you can talk for the last 2 minutes here. So I just put this in as well for step 5, personal development. In order to know and understand who you are as a person and to see your true potential with your voice and opportunity as a coach, you need to work on you always, 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 always. You hear us talk about personal development over and over again, but it is so important. In order to move forward in anything in life, relationships, work, anything, you need to be growing your mindset. You need to be opening your mind to new ideas and helping yourself to grow. Pouring into you will allow you to grow and will lead your business forward. It will lead everything in your life forward. Okay, so attracting more like you and creating your own tribe. So there's about a minute and a half left. Autumn, do you have anything you want to add in before time's out?
The last thing was just having that passion in sharing your vision and your voice and just being yourself and just, making sure, because once you have that passion in unapologetically sharing your vision for your life and who you are, and once you find yourself, you don't feel, and this was what Kelsey touched on in our group today, is you don't feel like it's a chore to post because you have so much you want to share and help others with. So once you find you and you find your voice and you find what it is that you want to share with people and where you're actually going with your life, this becomes just, it's easy. It's natural, and everything you're going to say is going to come natural because it's going to be in your voice and it's not going to be a chore. So I think that's very important. So all these steps, just make sure you take some time and go back through this, screenshot them, and answer them for yourself. That's the only way you're really going to grow and find out where you're going to go next in your business. So I will stop talking now.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. And I totally agree. Screenshot these and work on them, and then share them with your coach. Go into your team page and share your answers to these and take your coach in them, because I think it's really important to have that discussion aspect of it too. So, yeah. Thanks for joining, guys. It's awesome.
Got it.
All right. Have a good day, guys.